Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is gonna happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well, and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. We still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes. Yeah, I might have forgotten everything, Maggie. Because it's been like about 4 days since I went back to the game. Anyway, no, that wasn't doubt, that was, determination! Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Okay. Oh yeah, there was a Viola, right? That was involved in this case as well. You know, her right here, because she's the Cadaverini's daughter, who's like a crime syndicate boss, and he's connected to Firo Tigre, I guess, because Firo apparently accidentally got in a car crash and stuff, and he had to pay for the operation. Anyway, hey pal. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How do you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Okay. Oh. You're lucky you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Yeah, this is the bottle we found in Louis Armstrong's... Or is that... No, Gene. I don't know why I said Louis. Louis? Is that someone else? I don't know. Anyway. Gene Armstrong's like little box full of aromatherapy stuff. Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not a million years, pal. Don't tell me you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is the small bottle that turned up in Trebian's kitchen a couple days ago. Yeah, look at all these little bottles, and we found so many aromatherapy oils. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. What do you know? Doesn't have a label. It's not aromatherapy, is it? Oh, we finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? That would be quite incriminating for Gene. I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Oh. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. You remember that the victim did have medication for his left eardrum, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? We do know that Armstrong is in cahoots with Tigre, you know, because of a debt he owes the tender lender. So maybe he's involved as well. I don't know. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had the time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour, they might have gotten something on the prints, but... It's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it? Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Ryuichi Naruhodo. And I believe Ryuichi... I think that's his Japanese, like, name. Ryuichi, like, can be read as, like, dragon, you know? So there's, like, this, you know, dragon versus tiger kind of motif going on. But anyway. The court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday, we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. I had trouble with that testimony. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Well, thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick?
Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it.
You've lost me already, Mr. Goodall.
Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules.
You got a lot of rules, Goodall. You write them down or something?
Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well, let the first witness take the stand.
There you go. Armstrong with his strong arms.
And you are?
Oh, bonjour everyone! I am Jean Armstrong, the owner of the chef at the Tribune restaurant. Enchanté. Yes.
Forgive me for asking witness, but are you a woman?
Are you a woman? Oh la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am le put et le perky gentleman, non? Le put et le gent... What does the put mean? I don't know.
On the day of the incident, you were in Trebian's kitchen. Isn't that right?
With you, monsieur. Everything feels right. Everything feels right with you. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy?
Very well, your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Trebian.
Oui, volontiers. Okay. If you're weird, like, I don't know, it's like anime eyes, sort of. I don't know. It's kind of like glazed over. I feel like can't really see the iris. Or is it iris or I don't know my. It's like the little like dot you would usually draw, you know, on the eyes. Anyway, when it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decor that day, like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oui, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. Look up the earpiece and the glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Yeah, I guess. I mean, that was my first theory. That he somehow saw like a mirror. Yeah, something like a mirror. But that would make sense, because if you look in the mirror, you know, left and right is kind of reverse. If you look at it without thinking about it. Oui, un grand mirror, le most enormous mirror.
And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Alright. Armstrong seems like a jolly old guy, but, well, I feel like we can't trust him, so... And who were the 2 customers exactly? Me, of course, the young man who died. And the other not-so-young man.
You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume.
What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Something tells me that Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. Well, we need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. Yeah, that does, like, you know, again, Maggie did say she saw someone else, and we have sort of proof that, at the very least, Glenn was trying to make, like, a tiger person at Trebian. You know, according to his little calendar, I think. Actually, I don't think do we have it? Did we throw it away? I think we did, actually. I think we kind of like... Or maybe well, I don't think it was evidence. Yeah, it was just used to, like, talk to her, Glenn's boss. You know, about that. Android boss lady. No, wait, it was right here, okay. Yeah, it was I think it was the horse racing tickets that was thrown away, I remember. Phoenix was littering. But it was, yeah, it was this one. This is Meet with the Tiger. I think the same day as the murder, you know? I believe so. But yeah, everyone says that no one saw this person. But, you know, I'm suspicious because Armstrong is in debt to Tiger and was even threatened to even just beat us up. You know, just then, before, just yesterday, in the game time, so... Anyway, you were experimenting with Art Deco. Deco? Art decoration? Or decor? How come I never heard about that before today? You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur? Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did, just a few moments ago. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorator? Decorator? No. Art decor. It is a style of design, Your Honor. It is? I never heard of it, actually. Art decor? Is it spelled like that? Art decor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing. Yes, of course. That decor. Decor. I've never seen it like that. Like spelled like that. I thought it meant like decor or... Anyway. I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look for my restaurant. I was playing the most bold remodeling of le decor. Like having a large mirror between tables, How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Boh, something about 4 meters wide and about 2 meters high. Let's see, if 1 meter is 1 yard. Holy, that's in the frame, that's huge! I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. Menon, but decided not to go through it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror? If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimony. But... You didn't ask, right? You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Trebian the day before the incident. Really? It was? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. As it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trebian, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant the day of the crime. He could have ordered it, but he didn't. There's nothing to say that he did use it, you know, actually put it between the tables. If you want to doubt someone, right? Look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness of today has seen the victim reflected in the mirror. That's what the low man was looking at? Well, normally I expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object. Objection. Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, right? Even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it is impossible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knot chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here, Will's right? We're cool anime characters, basically. Not the hair. I don't have a top knot. Well, I don't know, sort of. Like this knot over here is kind of like a top knot. It's not exactly, you know, the hairstyle you would call a top knot. You know, a traditional Japanese top knot, you know, you would basically shave the top of your head, right, and have no bangs, but anyway. Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. Man, logic is one of the day. Oh, everything? He would have seen everything in reverse? Hey Nick, we should take a second and think about what old CD said in his testimony. How do you phrase it again? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the grills of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was left there without up. But he used the same head to pick up the cup, his left hand. If everything he says was reflected in the mirror, and everything he said on the left was actually on the right, huh? That clears up all the problems of his testimony, I guess. Or does it? It's kinda hard to believe everything is the fault of a mirror, but Do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradiction in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We've just gotta dig deeper. I remember, I don't know, I don't remember the old man's testimony exactly. What happens if I press this again and then leave it? I don't know if anything else happens. Couldn't lie about such a huge object. Must have been there in the restaurant somewhere. Okay, so nothing further to add about that. So we can't really attack the fact that there's a mirror, or the fact there was only 2 customers. Probably what we need to attack. Okay, the cup, the earpiece, and the glasses. Or I guess, the cup, the earpiece, and the glasses. Everything would be in reverse. Yeah, okay, well, he's referring to, like, this cup, right? This one I had, like, a lot of trouble with last time. The cup, it's like if it was reverse, I guess it would look like... I'm trying to like visually imagine it now. If I was like a guy with Dragon Ball Z Scouter and a coffee cup, I have it in my right hand, I'm looking in the mirror of myself, what would be different? I'm drinking the cup, and it would look like it's coming from the left? I mean, I don't know, that's kind of weird. Kind of hard to imagine now. Having the cup, would it be in? I don't know. It's like you. Because it's the same. Okay, the old man says the same hand. This is from the same side that he's wearing the glasses, right? So supposedly he had the HMD in the left eye, and also on his left ear he had an earpiece, I guess. Everything would be on the right instead of the left. Okay, I'm like having a hard time imagining this, but like, okay, so I have the cup, I'm drinking it, and the mirror is reflected. It would look like it's on my left? That doesn't make sense to me. It would still be on my right, isn't it? I guess if his glasses are reflected on his left eye, I don't know. Okay, this what? I'm confused. I'm already confused with the fact that it's in reverse. Is it in reverse? It's like there's a mirror. Like, where is the old man even seeing this? Supposedly. It's like, I guess he's not looking directly at the victim, he's looking at the mirror of the victim. So there's a mirror in front of the victim, so you look at them and everything's supposedly on the left, right? Drinking everything from the left? And then he mixed it up with the right? Or, okay, what did the old man... Okay, let me just press it again, I want to see the old man's testimony. I think they mentioned it here, right? How do you say it again? The boy was wearing the air on the same side of the green lens of his specs, the earpiece and his glasses. No question, looking up, it was his left ear without a doubt. And then use the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. Okay. I don't know why I'm stuck on this, because again, I'm just trying to visually imagine it. Okay, so everything on his left, supposedly. I guess? It doesn't still explain the coffee cup though, it's on the right, right? You picked up on the right, not on the left. Wow, that makes no sense. Yeah, it would still make no sense because the cup and the fact he wouldn't pick up the cup the same hand anyway, right? If everything was reversed, he would still pick up the cup in the different hand, you know, different from his earpiece and his lens, right? As far as I know, So I don't know, what do I present though? The cup or his profile? I guess the cup, maybe? No? It's not that? No, it's not that either. Maybe that would be too easy, I guess. Or maybe I have to present his profile? Because I'm thinking if everything is reversed, he would still be picking up the cup in a different hand, right? The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side of his green list of his specs. No question, you can lock me out if I'm wrong, it was his left ear, no, well done. So to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in the mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement. You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it's not so odd, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction of the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in the mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in the mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye. Yeah, because if it would only make sense if it was in his right eye, then he would pick up the cup, in the correct place, but, well, let's see. How bitter. It's right. You should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? You remember this, I presume? The I broke the vase sorry apology letter? I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg? Clearly, is the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear, do you hear? His left ear. Huh. Well, Wright. Yeah. That's the worst, but best impression of Kudo ever. Godot does a lot of impressions, I guess. Wow, I really thought he was old Sadie for a minute there. Godot's good. Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found was just a rash. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will, look at the plans of the restaurant. Okay. Hello, is everyone sitting comfortably? Yeah, look at his plans again. The mirror it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. Oh, okay. Okay, I wasn't really, it was hard to imagine because I was assuming the mirror was over here, not over here. Like, over here? That's kind of weird. How would you look at it then? I don't get it. Anyway, because I was assuming it's like over here. I don't know. Anyway. Dividing it to halves, there's only one seat for which you could have seen the image of the mirror. Or it's only one seat for which you can see the image of La Victime. I don't know why I said mirror. Okay, so Armstrong is saying the witness is over here? Yeah, I thought the witness said he was over here. I don't know. That was the seat at the table next to La Victime's. That was where the old maid was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. You did though, you did steal a lottery ticket. At least, just like a $1 winning ticket anyway, it's not a big deal, but you still touched something. Anyway.
I see no problems with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in cold sweat over there again.
Ah, I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteer, of course. Volunteer. I don't know what that means actually. Volunteer? As in like affirmation, I guess?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please.
Middle of the restaurant, dividing into halves. So run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? We? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't put a mirror there, it would be in the way.
Look who's talking, Wright.
Ah.
You're obstructing my view, among other things.
But this is my seat in the courtroom.
Trebian's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Wright.
I tell you, monsieur, the mirror was here, in the middle of the restaurant. Only one seat could send an image from the victim. Hey, where would that be? Ooh la la, look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you all in suspense no longer.
Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once.
I attract the older ones too, you know. And some. Should I tease you too?
I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time.
I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Coffee, waifu. Bien, I will tell you. There was only a seat from which you could have seen. Next to the victim, where Loma was sitting. So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat? Mais monsieur, it is obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. The victim would have been reflected in the mirror like so. If you were sitting on a table next to him, you would have seen everything, no? But that's the old seat he was sitting on that day, when the poisoning happened. The old man was sitting at a table next to the victim? Why does that seem kinda odd? Why is that odd? Because it can't be true. I mean, technically. I don't know if this is correct, but like, you can also just sit here. Like, even the mirror is over here, you can still sit here and just look to the right, you know, and just see what's happening, but I don't know. See there. There's gotta be something wrong with that. I mean, they're saying like something odd. There's something odd about that, isn't there? I'm not sure how to prove that. When the incident occurred, I broke the seat in my broke the vase at my seat. Anyway. Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police? Oui, exactement. I carried it out of the restaurant then. You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself. What can I say? I know how to pick things up and zoom. Godot actually laughed at something.
Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. He's Armstrong, strong in the arms.
You move anything else? I look like the obliging type, no? Not sure if that touched anything else. Are you sure about that? I touched nothing except the mirror.
Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene?
Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly.
Suffering from a case of heartburn, right?
Oh, I have just this thing for that. An oil of golden mirror and Frankensteins.
Add a few drops to your coffee and voila, enjoy.
Focus, Phoenix. Breathe.
Ooh, I need to ignore these two and just find some evidence.
It's pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Zeddy. And the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Trebian that day. I just gotta prove it, somehow. So I had to prove that there was no mirror in the first place. The only one you could have seen an image of the victim. I feel like that's just a red herring, I think. Because that assumes there is a mirror in the first place, right? Maybe? I don't know, unless you can prove that you can... Well, I'm not sure. We'll see. There was a seat at the table next to the victim. Move the mirrors. No, did not touch anything. I mean, technically that's wrong, but I'm not sure I can prove that. Did not touch anything else. Could I prove that he must have touched something else? Otherwise... I mean, the obvious... I don't know, the obvious thing here is that he did touch something. He told us. He touched a lottery ticket. He took one. But I'm not sure if I can prove that, though. But I'm... not touching anything else. I don't know, that might be completely wrong, though. That's not... Because, I mean, in particular, this lottery ticket is the one that was found in Maggie's body, you know, not like generally lottery tickets. Not in general. I'm not sure. Monday. I mean, for what? Okay, there's two things. I want to like touch upon the fact that he did take a lottery ticket, but also Victor broke a vase, right? You had to touch that too, maybe? Otherwise, it would have been a vase, I guess? I don't know, is there a photo of like a broken vase? Yeah, because look at the vase right here. This vase is completely fine. And this is the photo of the crime scene right here. And yeah, I don't see a broken vase anywhere. So, maybe... I don't know, unless I have... I don't know. Okay, well, I'm gonna... Okay, it probably is this testimony. I'm not sure which one to present it as. Is it this one? Naturally did not touch anything else. I think this one and this one. So only one seat... That was the seat next to the victim. Not touching anything else. If you're not touching anything else, why is this vase still intact? Right? Unless you fixed it or something. So maybe... Okay, I'm gonna choose this one. If it's not that, then I'll rethink it, I guess. But let's see. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony. This is the letter of apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not? I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony. I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things. What relevance does this scrap of paper have to the trial, Mr. Wright? Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor. Because it very clearly contradicts this piece of evidence. Right here, right? Hopefully I'm right, because there's one vase per table. Unless there's another vase, I guess, but yeah, this one's still intact. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor. The crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist? Sounds like you're describing yourself, right? Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo? It's right here. Blue, it's the vase. Boop. There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there's an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not in fact sitting at the table next to the victim at all. Don't be an idiot, right? That's impossible.
That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from.
Exactly. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trebian that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu!
Don't try to confuse the court, right? Obviously the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Unfortunately, Mr. Goodall, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Drink the coffee!
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
I was right. There's no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in the ear in which he couldn't hear? You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Wright, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw?
If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. Are you gonna be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table, and there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. My first guess is that maybe... No, then again, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was gonna say, like, the old man maybe saw... He saw Glenn in a different time, you know? Like, he saw her on a different day, but then he did see him die, right? So I'm not sure, actually. Maybe he was sitting in a different place, like he didn't see everything properly. I'm not sure. Well, the reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. The victim was a phony? Mr. Kudo made a mistake? I mean, that's what we've already been saying. Or the ear doctor made a mistake? I don't know. I don't know about that. Victim's ear medicine. I mean, do we have the prescription right here? I mean, the doctor being mistaken? That's not correct, is it? The victim being a phony. That's kind of weird. Who would be pretending to be the victim? Mr. Kudo made a mistake. I mean, that would actually not be good for us, because we did do the whole vase thing, right? We're assuming that he's not lying about the vase. So we have to choose that he's telling the truth, at least about that part. The ear doctor making a mistake is not likely, because, I mean, he's not really involved. I mean, he or she is not really involved in this case anyway. We don't know. We don't have any information about his doctor, so there's nothing to speculate from that. So we have to assume the victim was a phony, maybe? Because again, maybe the old man, yeah, maybe he did see what was happening in a different time frame. Maybe the victim was already poisoned, or poisoned afterwards. I'm not sure. Let's see. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there's one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events.
What?
Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there's nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. You know, Godot always seems so confident when he drinks his coffee, but then he spits it all out.
Order in the court. Settle down, or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out here, huh?
What did you just say?
Right. We say that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup?
Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of the one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Get real, Wright. Why would anyone want to do that?
Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was...
The servant girl brought him a cappuccino, but she put something in it. That's the servant girl, right there in the face chair. It's so hard to believe, but...
There is one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's store was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening.
That's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Ooh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at trivia on that day? Defense demands Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense's request for additional testimonies is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day.
We... The victim, Monsieur Egg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember that old man arrived not long after him. There was no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Monel became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. But no, there was no time for the phony to do acting.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all.
Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I want this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong, just like all the other witnesses in the past games. We've only mentioned this now, though. I will decide how to punish you later.
I mean, I guess, retroactively, I guess. Anytime any of the witnesses, they do lie, on the stand, I guess they do get, at least, like, a penalty or some kind of fine, or maybe go to jail for a bit, I don't know, something like that. He took the perjury charge a bit too well. I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Actually, I don't know how real life, law, court stuff works, but like, if you do commit perjury and you're found out, like, what really happens? Or maybe like a fine is like too little? I don't know, it depends, I guess. If it's like a big lie, you might also just be sent to jail too, because you're, I guess, collaborating with the criminal, maybe, so you kind of like an accomplice, I don't know. Anyway, I see that. Okay, so he came to the restaurant alone. Was he alone at his table as well? Maybe, I saw him for the kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table.
Unfortunately for you, Wright, yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. Seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite.
What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. Maybe she is super wise, she is smart in unexpected ways. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? He comes often for my special coffee.
I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience.
Oh, you may be so happy, monsieur. You're most welcome anytime.
I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So it's bad, basically.
So, old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. Oh, out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember, monsieur.
I believe we were told by a witness yesterday.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by the kind of a scary old man, sir.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived, so the victim must have arrived between 2 o'clock p.m. and 2:10 noon. Okay, so just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You're wonderful.
I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I?
The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you.
Monsieur bien, that's French, isn't it?
Nah. I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. Okay. Not long after them, just after 2. Leave me alone. Just after 2. Okay. Are you absolutely sure about the time? When I really think odd, I am sure it was just after 2, oui? It is that time I stopped serving a lunch menu.
Quite right, I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time.
Ha ha ha. I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch.
Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already.
A witness, get out of your testimony, please, before he gets hungry. So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim.
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Wright? You never catch me drinking the same blend twice.
Huh?
You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in a restaurant, but you're wasting your time. You can't grind birdseed to make coffee, if you catch my drift.
But there's a hole in his testimony somewhere, I'm sure of it. When we won the lottery, came very excited. Did you see him? No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember, I'm shouting, yes, $500,000.
Presumably, the defendant heard that too then, correct?
Maggie? She looked like a poor little frightened dove. And what about Mr. Kudo? A little old man choked on some birdseeds that got stuck in his throat.
It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands.
And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. Or killing a victim, maybe. I'm a multi-talented woman, monsieur. Sorry? What do you mean? There's the renowned chef Jean Armstrong and the tragic poet Cloris Armstrong? Or Clarice, I guess. Clarice.
Clarice?
I was writing a poem, an angry tale of a chef in $500,000 of debt. Cookie for a man. What $500,000 on a lottery? It is called Pourquoi. It means why, yes. Perhaps I could recite it for the court. Please don't. Okay. No time for the acting. Someone was impersonating after the reasons the whole time. When the white kid knows it, he'll got unconscious. We'll know for sure when we find a hole. Okay. Actually, I accidentally skipped the last testimony right here. That. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred? I asked the old man to come for la payphone.
By your argument, right?
The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear. Indeed. Bien, it seems like shadow of doubt has been lifted, n'est-ce pas? I guess that's kind of the case, absolutely. Someone was a person named Mr. Elg. There the whole time. Okay, because the chef should have known about this. Should have known about this. Okay. Well, here's the thing. We're talking about time, right? We're talking about time. It's after 2 p.m. That was near when... And then 5 minutes later... Yeah. Who died again? Okay, well, I mean, obviously, the victim. I mean who, I mean when. Between 1:30 and 2:30. So there wasn't an exact time. We're not given an exact time. When was the lottery announcement made? At 1:30. Yeah, that makes no sense. They're only 10 minutes, so at least 1:30 to 1:40 is when the lottery is announced. But if the man arrived at 2 o'clock, right, and an incident happened 20 minutes later, that would make no sense. Or was it 20 minutes or 5 minutes? I think 5 minutes, I don't know. But anyway, I guess 2:30 is when the police arrived, I guess. Anyway, that would make no sense because the lottery thingy was happening at 1:30. So, objection! I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. Quoi? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be the show I was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. Well, I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 o'clock, correct? Oui, I'm sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time, because I just finished serving a lunch menu. Get to the point, Wright, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30? Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 o'clock p.m. because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. No. This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Was he like a paid actor? I don't know. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Trebian that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy? Quite a performance, Wright. You're almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation and rhythm to build your song. What is this, Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at the time the real Glen Elg was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion. Oh, thank you, Wright. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? I mean, we don't really have an answer to that. We don't know where the corpse really went. I don't know. The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up into examination by the court, you must provide us with a proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Wright. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Like exactly where the body was hidden? Because my first My first thought that comes to mind is that they could have just hid it in the kitchen, just somewhere randomly in the kitchen, you know? Because, you know, Armstrong is kind of compromised. You could have just put it in the kitchen, that's it. Didn't need to put it anywhere else. But otherwise, where would you put it? I don't know. Oh yeah, wasn't this ear medicine found in the kitchen as well? That's interesting. Anyway. Evidence. What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elg concealed? I mean, outside we don't have no proof. If it was outside, and it's kind of hard to hide a corpse outside, you know, bring out the entrance? Probably a bad idea. You know, especially if it was like, you know, a busy street or something. A sidewalk, I assume. Probably not. It would be too risky, even if there was no if you assume even if there was no one outside, people would still probably be looking outside windows, inside buildings, so hiding a body, like moving it outside, horrible idea. Probably inside. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Très Bien. Interesting. But where could the body have been hidden inside the restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright. Oh yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed was behind the cash register. No, actually, actually, yeah, they would probably, like, you know, if people came by and actually saw the body, you know. Well, I don't know. Just put them in the cash register. Pretend they're alive, you know, or like what was that movie called where like someone died, you know, and everyone. Like two buddies, I guess, were pretending the dead body was like a real person. They dragged him around. I forgot what it was called. Kind of like a trope, I guess. Not here. I mean, obviously, my first guess is the kitchen. It's the obvious place, because only the chef has access to it, and the chef, we know anyway, definitely implicated in this crime, so... The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where is the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? This bottle, this ear medicine that was found in the kitchen, obviously. It's supposed to be on his body, and yet it was missing. And we only found it in the kitchen, so the body must have been in the kitchen, right? Otherwise, there would be no reason why this bottle was there in the first place. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No. I've never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The ice quality only for me. Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Well, interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Très Bien. What? But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elk visited a ear doctor clinic and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg. Bruh! Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu! Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hit the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No! Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elg? Never! I could not do such a horrible thing. No. No? Godot? Chug the coffee! Super chug! I was expecting Godot to, like, you know, yell out there. I thought it was like Armstrong that was like breaking down. Mr. Godot? The bitterness. That was a lot of coffee. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. You have the slightest idea how many cups you had by now? Then I'd like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. I put a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficient friend. Pardon, please, you must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me. Por favor. Yeah, that was Spanish. Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish, yeah. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No, absolutely no. I simply. Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps? A witness. The court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel. Oui, it is clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. It is true. I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with it because there was a reason why I could have refused. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me. You were forced. By who? I cannot say, or I will be erased. Let's try a different question then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table? There was... There was another man. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Mind Crush. No, we're not Yugi. Or the Pharaoh or whatever. Was it? I think there was a... Well, in Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, the Pharaoh had a true name, I think. I forgot the name, though. Anyway. Hid the body in the kitchen. Did you carry the body by yourself? Oui, I carried him. I carried Maggie, too. Maggie, too? When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I could not leave her there. But why did you hide the bodies? A man forced you to do it. What man? Who was he? No, I cannot say. I fear for my life. He's really scared. You just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick. Yeah, you're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him. But why would you go along with this man? I ought to. And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong? You know, monsieur. Yes? Surely you could not expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment. A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that. A bit too male. A bit too male. Well, I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason, so I'll just have to prove it with evidence. Now kill him. So you're claiming that all you did was hide the bodies, is that correct? Oui, that's right. If we are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this. He's already confessed this much. He might as well stop dancing around the real issue. Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is. Then Sacre to him, Nick. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. What do I present it to, though? There's no, like, real contradiction. I know the reason. Armstrong owes a huge debt, right? Where is it? Where's the thing? The debt, you know. Here, yeah, loan contract, $500,000. See, the owner of the loan is tender lender. Do I present it here or here? There's a reason I'm confused. Not really like a contradiction. Usually when you present evidence to a testimony, it's like a contradiction. You know, it has to be like a actual contradiction. It would be easier if I had to go along, but there's no real reason. You know, that'd be a contradiction right there. But it's like, it's not really a contradiction, but I guess it's the only thing I can present it to, right? So I guess we'll do it here. You have $500,000 debt, right? Half a million dollar debt. $500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong? Oui, je suis désolé. I was weak and I borrowed the money. This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man, the owner of Tender Lender, the Tiger. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you. Oui, it is as you say. Mr. Armstrong, the Tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting the victim to demand he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried body that unconscious Maggie out of the dining area and in the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The boys in the lottery together were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well? No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable. Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. "30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. Don't sit back and relax yet, Wright. No one knows if that ship is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way. Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess." So, no more like investigations. Instead, we're going straight to another part of the trial. Because Mr. Godot, apparently, could just get him in half an hour that easily, huh? I wonder what kind of connections he has. I mean, obviously to the police? I think that's the case, right? When you're a prosecutor, you work with the police. Anyway.